Hey guys, missed the Japanese car industry videos? And Japanese car industry videos missed you. So here we're sending a messenger to you in the form of this video to remind you, let's say, about their existence. Today we're going to study a scary man, a great sinner, a fan of murder and Satan, and to be more precise, Chikuhei Nakajima. Yes, this guy is very frightening and creepy. Here, just take a look at the picture. Are you scared? Alright, I'm just kidding. Before the angry Subaru drivers get us jumped, although of course his biography is not without sins, far from a saint in fact. But why has he appeared in our field of view? No reason, he just made a factory which in the future would produce cars with stars on the emblem and a knock in the engine. That's Subaru. What associations do you get when someone talks about it? Let's not say anything like my wife drove it and never came back or whatever. Some will say high speed, some will say sporty design, and some will remember... God damn it. What the fuck is wrong with it? Pissed me off. But Subaru is not just a brand and not just a joke. Let's just say that few companies have survived what this brand has. The hardest start, breathtaking success, and in the end, a merger with its almost worst competitor these days. By the way, somewhere it was mentioned that Toyota completely bought out Subaru 2 years ago, but we hasten to dissuade you. This is a lie. So, intrigued? Then let's get started. Remember we tried to scare you with this grandpa a minute ago? The scariest man, really. Anyway, his name is Chikuhei Nakajima, and he owns the factory that will become the cradle of one of the most famous companies in history. But for now, we'll forget about that and take a closer look at him. He was born into a farmer's family on the 1st of January, 1884. Since childhood, he wanted to be an engineer and ended up going to the school that was associated with it. In short, his first sin was copying Citroën. Generally speaking, all car manufacturers are actually copycats of each other, so you can watch about Citroën and turn off this clip. Okay, wait a minute. We are kidding. But anyway, almost all of them were related to engineering. Amazing, right? So Nakajima, our good old sinner, wanted to graduate from a proper school, but fate played a joke on him. It also made a joke on hundreds of thousands of innocent lives right around those years. We're talking, of course, about the Russo-Japanese War going on at the time. Anyway, instead of graduating from an appropriate institution and not going to kill people, Nakajima had to study at the Imperial Japanese Naval Engineering School. He graduated in 1907, and next year he was promoted to what we would call a warrant officer. He really wanted to invent all sorts of new and interesting things, though, so in 1911 he took a pilot's seat in a Japanese airship, among other things, to learn how an airship was built from the inside and what makes it fly. That same year, by the way, he was promoted to lieutenant. In 1912, he graduated college and went to the United States for further training, where he became the third Japanese to obtain a pilot's license after graduating from flight school. By the way, a very solid achievement. The guy was far from stupid. His story also has some dark spots. Remember we called him a Satanist and a sinner? Not really a Satanist, of course, but certainly a sinner. So in 1915, he prepared a document in which he advocated the bombing of civilians during the war in order to crush the morale of the opponent. That's a nice thing to say. Why don't we just kill a bunch of people so soldiers get depressed? How cool is that? Then he went back to Japan, where he already let his inventive potential run wild. He developed an improved version of the Farman seaplane for the Imperial Navy. Nakajima was sent as a military attaché to Europe in 1916 to personally observe the conduct of combat. And in 1917, he opened a factory, which began the great history of an equally great car brand. So, setting our eyes on 1917, Chikuhei Nakajima, recall that absolutely scary man, opened an aviation research laboratory in the city of Nakagama. It was called the Aircraft Research Laboratory. For 14 whole years, this laboratory was actually engaged in research, until 1931, when it became a full-fledged aircraft factory. This is the reason for the difficult start. Nakajima didn't initially care about cars. He was focused on... Now everyone knows Subaru cars, not airplanes. What's more, this man didn't even catch the car debut of his brainchild, which was delightful, but about that later. Anyway, the factory was called Nakajima Aircraft Company. It produced excellent airplanes which were actively used during World War II and were incredibly in demand. However, this did not prevent the United States from defeating Japan in 1945. Incidentally, after the loss in World War II, Nakajima was charged with war crimes, but was released on parole in 1947, shortly before his trial. He died in 1949 as a result of a brain hemorrhage, never having seen the debut of his brainchild in the automobile industry. The elderly man was on trial for war crimes, probably for those same documents in 1915, yeah? No, he was Japanese, and the Japanese were all considered war criminals back then. That's how surrender and the right of the strongest works, you know. Nakajima died, but his brainchild did not. In 1946, a ban was imposed on the production of aircraft, and cars hadn't been built yet. But in the same year, the future Subaru released a moped called the Rabbit. This was possible because parts were not confiscated at the factories, and the moped was made of them. Poor Frankenstein Rabbit. A little later, the company was renamed Fuji Sangye Limited, and since it could do nothing else due to the sanctions imposed by America, it manufactured motorboats, chainsaws, wagons and buses, and gasoline engines. In short, it made everything but cars. In 1950, the Fuji Sangye Company broke up into 12 independent parts, some of which soon ceased to exist. The various laws and prohibitions that were imposed on Japan also applied to these companies. They had few resources, few ideas, and little money. And few people because the original plant was not that big. But not all of the companies had gone into oblivion. The 5 strongest of them reunited in 1953 to form Fuji Heavy Industries. The new founder of the company was this man. His name was Kenji Kita. He was no Satanist or war